What's your name?
My name is Katie Hendrickson, and I lived in Richland, Iowa, which isn't far from here. Born and raised there when World War II broke out. I was in grade school at the time.
Can you answer some questions?
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Could you describe the feelings you had as people around you were being drafted or enlisting and leaving for the war?
Well, the people they left behind were sad, but proud of the people that volunteered to go. My brother was a freshman at Drake University in Des Moines, and he had aspirations to go on with his education, but he volunteered and joined the Navy and served in the Philippines during the war. He came home safe. I had a brother-in-law who was married to my sister, and they had 2 little boys, and lived in Fort Madison, Iowa. And when he volunteered, I don't remember if he was drafted or whether he volunteered, but anyway, he was a paratrooper. And those were some of the strongest and most athletic types of people that were accepted into that branch of the service.
Okay. How did U.S. entry in World War II change your daily responsibilities, such as jobs or school?
Well, of course, I was in elementary school, so it didn't affect me in that way, like a job or anything like that. My father ran the Farmall International Harvester implement business in Richland. I think there were shortages of a lot of things, particularly tires and that sort of thing. I remember in our schoolyard where we used to play ball, we all had to bring tin foil that was wrapped around gum, all kinds of metal, and we had a huge pile of metal and stuff that was donated to the war effort. But everyone did that. Also, we couldn't buy a lot of shoes. You were limited how many shoes you could buy. Sugar was very scarce. At that time, they didn't, I don't think they had, oh yes, they did have women's nylons, but they were very scarce. You couldn't get those either. And we had ration books. They were about this size right here, and in it they had stamps. And when those stamps ran out, you couldn't buy any more sugar. You couldn't buy any more shoes. People were limited in what they could buy, and a lot of them were essentials and necessities.
Well, that answered the next question. So, how concerned were you about the possibility of another attack in the U.S.?
I think at the time, everyone was pretty confident in the security of the United States. I mean, we were a superpower, and I really don't think we thought about that too much.
All right. How much information was available about the war, specifically about the concentration or death camps?
Only what we heard on the news, because we didn't have television then, I will tell you that. But what was on the news and what was printed in the newspapers. Now, Life magazine, I remember as a child stealing some looks at this Life magazine because it showed these piles of bodies, piles of corpses, as high as those metal piles of metals that we had in our yard of bodies. It also showed big pits where people had been lined up and shot and then just pushed over into that. That information came to us by little bits and pieces, but since having learned about that, I know that the Germans, even living within a close proximity of those concentration camps, denied it ever happening. And I read later, well, go ahead with your next question because I think it goes into some other questions.
What was your opinion on the war?
Well, when when we went to the movies, they always had the eyes and ears of the world are upon you, and it was a news flash.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine? You know, it's called propaganda, and I'm sure the Nazis had a lot of propaganda about how terrible the Americans were.
Right.
Well, guess what we were hearing?
Yes,
How terrible
yeah,
the Nazis were.
yeah, the
But guess
Germany.
what? Ours was right.
Yeah.
They were terrible. And so that really formed all of our opinions of what it was like. It was just, we hated the Germans.
Yeah.
And didn't like them at all.
Did you lose any relatives during the war?
No.
No.
My brother came home. So did my brother-in-law. No.
Did you learn? What did you learn about the war once it was over?
Just that, like I was going to say, that the people, it was a lot worse than we ever dreamt or were given information about. There was some rumors, some information came out that maybe President Roosevelt knew in advance a little bit about the attack on Pearl Harbor and could have taken steps to have saved a lot of lives. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. Then there was, like I was going to say, that a lot of the Germans living in a close proximity of those concentration camps denied that they existed. And I learned afterwards, in just recent years, that once they were found, they made the residents of these towns go out, bring them up, bring those bodies up and bury them. They made those residents do that. And they had to face the fact that what had happened there, whether they really knew it or denied it. I don't know.
Well, that's all the questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to help.
So Nathan, what did you think about the responses of the video?
I thought they were really well thought out, very informative, and it really gave me a good sense of life back in the World War II.
That's cool. That's cool. Is there do you have any relatives that like you can relate to about?
No.
No. I had a few relatives that were in the war. My grandpa's dad and stuff. He died a few couples back because of cancer and stuff after the war.
So you could really relate to Miss Huntington.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I never saw dead bodies, but like, you know,
Right.
other than that.
What did
Yeah.
you think of Brandon's choice of questions?
I thought they were pretty good. You know, they were general enough to where she didn't have to, you know, think too hard, but they weren't like so specific. Like, you know, they weren't like too general to where it was just like, okay, we already know this, you know.
But they were like specific
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So that video was Cargle approved. Thank you, and have a nice day.